Hi everybody, Tasha here with another processed video. Sketch is from the Big Picture Classes Sketch Solutions class. Let's get started. So you're going to see here, the first paper that I cut is this kind of pink circle burst looking background with some circles and dots in it. That is from Echo Park's A Boy's Life collection. Quite an old collection. I've been trying to use up some old papers, especially Echo Park, because I have run out of room in my Echo Park container. So I need to make some room for some new stuff. So that particular paper is called Imagination. And I'm going to layer it over that denim looking paper, which is from another Echo Park collection. And that is the All About a Boy. And the paper is called Scrabble. This tone on tone creamy, it's not a dot. It kind of looks like it there, but it's really not. It's got kind of an odd shape to it. That is from the A Boy's Life collection, and it is called Scholarly. And I cut it first, and now I wanted it just a tiny bit shorter, so I just cut that out. You didn't need to see it twice. This is the overall sketch that I'm gonna go with, or the overall layout of everything. And my big photo is upside down. It's gonna take me a little bit to figure that out, but I'll get it eventually. Okay, what am I doing? Oh, I'm not liking the tone on tone and the burst. Something's not really fitting for me right there. So I grabbed that striped paper, and then I decided, well, let me look at the border strips because I'm not good at using the border stickers. And this is the All About a Boy collection that's on the alpha sticker sheet. Got a neat little yellow star in an orange kind of background pattern. Really an interesting looking border sticker. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to put it to the side right now, but you'll see it later on. And I do cut 2 1/4 inch strips of that striped paper, which is from the A Boy's Life collection, and it is called Charmer. I'm going to ink everything in pumice stone distress ink, which is my #1 favorite distress ink of all time. I'm going to take this little journaling card you see here at the bottom, which has some very funky shaped helicopters. And it says ready, set, go, go, go. And I'm sorry if you hear my dog walking in the background. Every time I try to do this, one of them walks somewhere or something. Anyways, so my photo is 5x7, and I guess either my photo is not exactly 5x7, or maybe this journaling card isn't. So I have to cut it down just a tiny bit, and I end up cutting it to where it's a hair short. But it's okay. I cover up a join later on. I'm going to go ahead and get my journaling printed, and I'll be back for some more later. Cut this out. Oh, sorry. I inked the edges first. So here I've got a Scraptastic stamp set. It was a boy themed set, and I don't remember the name of it, and I don't think it's available anymore. And you see, I go out of frame for that. I managed to remember to zoom in and everything, but I went out of frame. So I've got my 1 3/4 inch circle punch there, just cutting that out. And I'm grabbing my Pinked Circles Spellbinders Nestabilities die. That background paper has all the pink circles, so I figured, hey, this is a good opportunity to bring this back out. So I'm actually going to cut several of those 2 shapes or 2 sizes that you saw, and I didn't make you watch all that because it took a while for me to figure out which paper I wanted and all of that. So here we have some Lily Bee Destinations label stickers, and there's my head, sorry. But I'm using some Close to My Heart slate ink and a different Scraptastic stamp set. It just says this is one for the books. And now I'm using one of the labels, and I am not doing a very good job of stamping for some reason today. And that one just says this happened, and I end up not even using that because it's red and I'm gonna layer it on something red. But anyways, you'll see that later. Now the original ink I used for that Nailed It stamp, and there's my head again, lovely, was just Rust. It's a Hero Arts Midtone Shadow ink, and I decided I didn't like that being a different color than the other two things I've stamped. So I went back over it in the Close to My Heart ink, and I really, really like the way it looks because the Hero Arts inks kind of blend it when it soaks into the paper. It softens out the edges just a little bit, so there's this kind of halo effect going on. Really a neat look. I might try it again on purpose. I doubt I can recreate it, but I'll try. So I've got my journaling printed now, and I'm going to lift up one of those edges. So I got one of those pinked circles that I cut. That is actually the other side of that scholarly paper, that tone on tone. Go ahead and adhere that down because I like the way that's looking. And that also hides the fact that my journaling spot right there isn't quite cut perfectly. I'm using some Stampin' Dimensionals there, my favorite dimensional adhesive by far. I'm going to pop that up a little bit later on. And this is where I realize I ink my edges and everything, and I go to put it down and I realize, uh-oh, I don't want that red on red. So let's think. And there is a yellow sticker that I'm going to go ahead and stamp the same ink, Close to My Heart slate, same stamp to tuck in there. And I'm going to just go ahead and keep that red label because this happened. I mean, it's generic enough that I can pull it into anything. But now that I have that yellow, that brought me a little extra pop of color right there, and I really like the way it looked. I'm glad I didn't end up going with the red. So, and I am going to straighten that up, I promise. So now this sticker, I'm going to cut out all of the fussing I do. I move it and move it and move it so many times. What's wrong is if I put it where I want it, you can see some of that pink circle. So what I do here is go in and trim what you can see, what was sticking out off, and you really don't know that it's been trimmed in the final result. But I moved it, and could not figure out what was wrong for the longest time, and I finally like, just cut that off. So these are the All About a Boy Echo Park spreads. Those two collections, by the way, go together really well if you have them. So I'm showing you what I do here sometimes. If I have all of these layers together, when I finally, because I usually save my brads till the end, it's really hard going through quite a few different layers of paper. So I'll cut off of these larger brads the tongs or the little prongs part of them and put a Stampin' Dimensional in it, which is the perfect height for that recessed of the brad. And now I can kind of use it like a enamel dot or something. And I cut out I put dimensional adhesive all behind that So Funny, which is from the A Boy's Life alpha sticker sheet. It took forever because I had to cut these teeny tiny pieces to go on there. I figured you really didn't want to watch that. Lots of adhesive, always, always, always. Let's get that down. And here I'm going to realize I need to just go ahead and move that back paper and do it this way, and then I can actually get my brads in there the way I want, and it'll be a lot easier to work with. So I'm going to bring in some Stampin' Dimensionals again. At least I think I'm going to do it. Oh no, here's what I'm doing. This is also on the A Boy's Life sticker sheet. Those photos up at the top just kind of felt disjointed to me and like they were just floating a little bit, even though they were right there where those two papers joined. So that is just a nice little artisan label shape, and it had another helicopter or maybe an airplane or something at the bottom. But since I was tucking it in, it didn't really matter. And now that gives those something to sit on. And it also helps soften up just all the harsh edges that I have going on. I'm bringing in that border sticker again. Looks so cute right there. And I did ink the edges. Everything is inked. Even if you didn't see it, I have inked the edges of it. So, yeah, liking that striped paper. And go ahead and get all the edges inked of those. I'm going to cut that out because it takes a while when it's these tiny, tiny little edges or tiny little strips. I'm going to go ahead and use some liquid glue. Since the ATG is a quarter of an inch, it's hard to kind of stay on there without going off. So I just use some liquid adhesive, and my Scotch Quick Dry happened to be the closest thing to me. I'll grab that and get it down. It really is a nice adhesive if you haven't used it before, because it does dry very, very fast. As long as you don't use too thick of a layer. Like that. And flip that over because I want it to kind of look like I've got a long piece of paper there and I'm not just using 2/4 inch strips. I'm going to check to make sure I have plenty of room for my title. And some more Scotch Quick Dry to get that down. What else am I doing now? Go ahead and start finishing up my embellishment clusters. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and do my title. So it's going to end up saying, so not funny. And I'm going to use one of those. I ended up going with the orange because I didn't think the yellow was going to pop quite enough for what I wanted. Because the knot really needed to be prominent. Because this is my husband thought it was funny to mimic everything our son did. It started one day when he was in the bassinet next to him, and I heard Riley move, and I said, "What is he doing?" And so he started just doing every motion that Riley would do, he would do. So then he started just doing this all the time, and this day Riley did not find that funny. So he pitched a fit, screamed his head off. And then finally, you see there one picture up there. I wanted to make sure I included a picture where he's got his hand on him, which quiet Riley right down. Kind of like, yeah, that's right, you're going to listen to me. But anyways, getting in some more of those pink circles. Those are going to be kind of the base for all three of my embellishment clusters. Bringing in that this is one for the books label sticker that I stamped. And if I'd have thought about it, I really would have put that red pink circle down first because the label sticker ends up sticking out just a little taller than I would have liked on its own like that. And if I'd have brought the red behind, I could have brought it up a little higher and I think it would have blended a little bit better, but I didn't. And it still looks okay in the end. And I've got another one of those brads from the All About a Boy brad pack. And I did bring in, I like to work in threes. So I have brought in three of the printed brads that have whatever kind of design printed on. I'm not sure. I don't have the page in front of me, but I think they're just kind of generic starburst kind of patterns. I think all of them are like a tone on tone kind of pattern. But I wanted something extra in my main embellishment cluster, which is going to be right there next to the Nailed It. And I end up using two extra brads because as long as I'm doing things in threes, I'm okay with it. So I've got the three patterned brads that I'm scattering around the page, and then I'm going to have three brads right there in the one embellishment cluster. So I still end up with a nice odd number of brads, and those other two are just plain. So I'm going to use my little El Cheapo Office Depot date stamp. I have a drawer full of date stamps, and I end up pulling that one. It's just a little bit closer together than a lot of the American Crafts ones I have. And I used it on a green label sticker. Now that one is also Lily Bee, but it's from the Sweet Shop collection. I needed some green up in that corner. I'm just getting all those pink circles adhered. Those are just all from the back sides of paper. That green down there at the bottom is actually the back side of that Starburst paper. Get my label sticker in place so I know where I want to put my pink circle. And get all of those trimmed. And right about now, I think is where I end up. Oh, no, not yet. Sorry. I'm going to get those brads in place. Using my Tim Holtz craft pick. I love that thing. If you don't have one, I resisted for a long time because I had different paper piercers, but that one is retractable and it seems to be a little sturdier than a lot of my other ones. So yeah, definitely worth it. Get off that adhesive right there on that Stampin' Dimensional. Easy way to use your brads too. If you don't really want to commit to sticking a hole through your papers, just cut off those prongs and you can use it like any other shape or any other sticker. Get those down. So as long as I end up with an odd number of brads, I'm usually happier with the page. I have used even numbers. I'm not saying that that's not to be done or anything. I just, for some reason, I do like it better. And it's weird because I don't like odd numbers. So there's your weird fact about me for the day. I like everything in even numbers, but for some reason on my scrapbook pages, I don't do that. So there we go. This is where I'm thinking things are just a little too harsh still. So I pull in my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper. This is the second corner chomper that's just a rounded edge. And it does 1/8 and 3/8, and I use the 3/8. That 1/8 is a little smaller than the original. Then you have the 1/4 inch on the original, the 3/8 on this yellow handle, and then you have the 1/2 inch on the original. So you've got a nice little stair step there if you have both of them, and I do. And I don't know, I'm reaching for that 3/8 a lot more than anything like right now. And I kind of want something else with those photos, so I grabbed this a moment captured sticker, and this is where I get called away. So I will come back and get that straightened out and adhered down to my background piece. But here is a nice close-up of that main embellishment cluster, one of my page, and you can see more pictures on my blog. Thank you so much for watching. The link's down below.